Dividing decimals is by far the hardest operation to do with decimals. That's because we have to remember how to do long division, and most of us really don't like long division. So let's take a quick look back at long division. So let's say I had 3 into 1682. All right, so remember the way we do long division. We're looking at the number on the outside, and we're going to start on the left of the number on the inside. And we say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 1? Well, 3 doesn't go into 1, so we move over 1. How many times does 3 go into 16? So now I'm just looking at the first two numbers. Well, 3 will go into 16 5 times. So we write that above the 6 and we multiply. 3 times 5 would be 15, and then we subtract. So let's see, 16 minus 15 is 1, and then we bring down the rest of the number. A lot of times a book will just bring down the next number, but you can bring down the whole thing. All right, then we would say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 1? It doesn't. How many times does 3 go into 18? Well, it goes into 18 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18, and we subtract, so that's 0, and we bring down the 2. So how many times does 3 go into 2? Well, 3 doesn't go into 2, so we would add a 0 right there. Now, in this case, it kind of depends on which class that you're taking. When we first learned how to do long division, we would call this our remainder and put a big R2 up there for a remainder of 2. Since we've dealt with fractions in the past, we know that this 2 still needs to be divided by that 3, so we can call that 2 divided by 3, or 2/3. But now that we know about decimals, what we can actually do is there's the decimal what the original number was at. If we just bring that straight up, we can keep going by adding as many zeros over there as we need to. So let's see, 3 won't go into 2, but if I bring down a 0, 3 does go into 20, and it goes in there 6 times. So 6 times 3 would be 18, and we would subtract, which gives me a 2. And then we would repeat until we get to an answer. So 3 won't go into 2, so we bring down another 0. 3 goes into 26 times, which gives me 18, and subtract. Now you can kind of see a pattern's going to start here, and it's going to keep doing this forever. Now this is kind of one of the problems we have with decimals. So I can't write an infinite number of 6's, so what we can do is just, if y'all remember, put a little line over there that says that repeats forever. So that a little line over that, and we could have put it over both 6's or the first 6. It just says that those 6's are going to go on forever. So that's the idea for long division. We're going to do the exact same thing with decimals, but we got one little step to do first. So let's take a look at dividing decimals. So if we start out with dividing decimals, so let's say that we have 6.24 divided by 1.2. Now we want to set this up as kind of a long division thing. So the 6.24, I'm going to write it over here, 6.24 goes on the inside, the 1.2 goes on the outside. Now here are the 2 extra steps that you need to do when we're talking about decimals. We want the number on the outside to be a whole number, not a decimal. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to slide the decimal over till it's a whole number. So in this case, I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this over 1 place. But how many places I move it on the outside, I have to also do it on the inside to kind of compensate for it. So I need to move that decimal over to there. So now when I rewrite this, I'm going to write this as, on the outside, as 12 into 62.4. So our first step is we want to move the decimal on the outside until it is a whole number. Move the decimal on the inside the same number of places. Okay, so since we moved the decimal one place on the outside, we have to move the decimal one place on the inside. So we're left with this problem. I'm gonna move this over just a little bit. So 12 into 62.4. Now, as soon as you have it moved and you have your new problem set up, move the decimal directly up. So then move the decimal up to the top, because that's where our decimal needs to go. All right, let's start now we just do regular long division like we would always do. So we'd say 12 won't go into 6. Will 12 go into 62? Yeah, well, the most times it'll go into will be 5 times, because 5 times 12 is 60, and then we can subtract. So 62 minus 60 would be 2, bring down the 4. Will 12 go into 24? Yeah, it'll go into 24 2 times. 2 times 12 is 24. Subtract, and we get 0. So our answer is 5.2. So if you notice, the hard part about this is not going to be the decimal stuff. It's going to be the long division. So you might have to go back and practice a little bit of long division. So let's try another one. Let's say if we have 0. Wrong number. Let's say if we have 0.126 divided by 0.005. This is going to be horrible. Okay, so when we write this out first, the 0.005 goes on the outside and this 0.126 goes on the inside. Okay, there's our decimal right there. Okay, to make the number on the outside a whole number, I need to move that decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So that means on the inside, I have to also move it 1, 2, 3 places. So really, when I rewrite this, this is going to be 5 into 126. And notice it's a lot, actually this one's a lot nicer. Now remember, you do need to put your decimal place in there because it needs to go straight up as soon as you get started. All right, let's just start long division and see what happens. 5 won't go into 1, but 5 will go into 12 2 times. That gives me 10, and we subtract. 12 minus 10 is 2, bring down the 6. 5 goes into 26 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract, that gives us a 1. Now remember, we can keep going with this, so I need to add a 0 here and bring down the 0. 5 goes into 10 twice, which gives me 10 and 0. So our answer would be 25.2. All right, let's give this just one more try just so we can kind of see how it works. Let's say if we had 1.23 divided by 0.4. All right, let's do this kind of in 2 stages together. Do me a favor, write it as a division problem and then adjust your decimal places, and let's see if you get that part right, and then we'll see if we can finish it up. All right, did you get it set up? Let's see how you did. So on the outside, we have the 0.4 into 1.23. So for this one, the decimal on the outside needs to be moved 1 place, so the decimal on the inside gets to be moved 1 place. So we have 4 into 12.3. As soon as you get your number, move your decimal place straight up to the top. All right, let's start dividing and see what we get. 4 goes into 12 3 times, which gives us 12 when we subtract. That's 0, bring down the 3. 4 doesn't go into 3, 0, or goes into 3 0 times, can't go in, so we'd have to add another 0 here. 4 goes into 30, what would that be? 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28, and we subtract. I have to add another 0. 4 goes into 25 times. 4 times 5 is 20, and we're done. All right, so 3.075, or 3 and 75 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So 3 and 75 thousandths would be our answer. All right, so dividing isn't difficult as far as how we do it. All we do is adjust the decimal on the outside and on the inside. move the decimal place straight up to where it was at, and then divide like you normally would do long division. Again, the problem that most students struggle with here is the long division, so make sure you're practicing this skill.